What's going on, everybody? This is the Burndown. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned. You probably already know who it is from the title, but stay tuned. It's coming up next on the Burndown.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burndown podcast. Today's guest, he is the owner of Escobar Cigars. And if you know anything about Escobar Cigars in recent news, he just brought on Nas, legendary New York City rapper, as a partner for Escobar Cigars. And that man is named David Gomes. What's going on, brother?
Hey, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on today.
Well, it's our pleasure, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with the Burndown boys.
Love to talk about cigars. I can talk about it all day.
Who can't talk about cigars? I mean, if you're into cigars, they get it. People who aren't into cigars just don't get it.
I get it. It's the only thing that's ever made me sit down for more than an hour at a time.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. We talk about that all the time. It gives you a chance to slow things down and just relax.
Absolutely.
So you kindly sent us a beautiful Escobar Cigars sampler pack.
That's our sampler box of 5. That's our small box, yeah.
I love it. I'm a detail marketing guy, so the delivery, the presentation is prestige. Black and gold, beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very nice looking box. When we pulled it out, because we waited until today. It came in yesterday. We waited to open it today, and he pulled it out, and I said, "Man, that's a classy, clean looking sampler pack."
And I go, "Can I keep that box?" He's like, "Yeah."
We get a lot of that, actually.
No, it's a lot of detail, so I appreciate all the effort that goes into it, because you don't see all the cigar brands and all cigar companies that put a lot of effort into their cigar sampler cigar boxes. So
well, I'll tell you why we do that. This is actually kind of key. I mean, our master craftsman in Nicaragua is adamant about the box. The box. In other words, there's a cedar shortage pretty much worldwide. And certainly what we use, which is Spanish cedar, is in shorter supplies. A lot of times they try to substitute imperial cedar, and our roller is very adamant that no, that's not good enough. The flavor of the Spanish cedar, plus it acts as a humidor, is critical for the taste of our cigars. So he's adamant about that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting what you say about there's a cedar shortage, because I just took like a wine tasting class a couple weeks ago, and they were saying how there's a shortage of corks, because cork's made out of wood too, and they're getting
Portugal.
Yeah, and it's a huge shortage all the way around. So it's very interesting. So what do you got here? What's that?
And so I want to point this out, because you don't see many sampler packs provide this, but it is it's like I guess you would call it's thicker than tissue paper, but it reminds me of whenever you open a box of Cohibas and they give you that basically like stamp of approval, and you put it in your hand and it curls up. You know that one?
Yeah.
It reminds me exactly of that, and I'm not sure if it's the same paper, but they on the paper it talks about proper cigar storage. It gives a little background of Escobar Cigars, but it also gives you this little table that tells you, it's small print, but it tells you the length of the cigars.
Oh, wow.
The shape of the cigars, the wrapper, the binder, the filler. So it tells you everything about each cigar that's in there. Because you get a lot of 5-packs that come in, and you can see the cigar, but it doesn't tell you the blend and the shape and everything. So that's nice.
Well, did you also notice we label the cigars in the box?
Yes.
That was a customer request that people asked for. It's like, well, I don't know which one is which.
That was my next question. My question to you was going to be, out of the Robusto, the Distinguos Romeo, the Double Corona, Double Toro Gordo, and the Churchill, which one's your favorite one out of this whole pack?
Oh, that's an easy question. Double Toro Gordo, which I'll tell you, by the way, is Nas's favorite too, by the way. We have a tough time keeping them filled up with those. Matter of fact, I've got to deliver another box from this weekend.
That's amazing. So I'll definitely be having
that one.
The Double Toro Gordo, no doubt.
So I was going to say, you got to take that one.
I mean,
are you guys familiar with Bahique? Cohiba Bahique?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we modeled this one after is a Bahique, and I think it tastes better, my personal opinion. So we wanted this model after the Cohiba Bahique, which is one of my favorite Cuban cigars prior to our own cigars.
This is a very cool moment for me, because not only, when Justin earlier said I'm a fan of Nas, like Nas is my favorite rapper. I grew up in high school. He was all uploaded on my iPod. He was like the first real rapper that I actually got influenced on rap. Like the way he told stories, the way his flow was. It just stuck to me, and I influenced all my brothers to like Nas. So I know once this episode comes out, they're gonna be jittering at the out of their shoes.
They're fanboy.
Yeah.
So what one should I smoke? I'm looking at this Distinguidos Romeo.
Yeah, that Distinguidos Romeo is probably the toughest roll to make. And again, we model a lot of our cigars after a lot of the Cuban cigars, and I've spent probably more time than I should admit online in Cuba. But I spent a lot of time in Cuba, and one of my favorite cigars out there, really hard to find, is called a Cuaba. And it's a double torpedo, kind of like this Distinguido Romeo. It's a little bit bigger. They make a bigger version of them. They come 10 to a box in Cuba. But when I go there, I was trouble getting them, and I always look for them. Great cigar, and we modeled after that. Tough roll though, very hard roll.
It is. It looks like it looks like the foot of the cigar almost looks like the top of the cigar.
Yeah, it's like a figurado.
It's similar, yeah, very similar. It's a great golf course cigar too. You're out in a golf course, you're having trouble lighting. It's a quick light, easy to light, gets a good start to the cigar that way.
This is awesome.
So that's a great outdoor cigar, or out on a boat fishing in Cabo. Another great cigar for that.
A great scenarios you're giving us.
I love it. I mean, I'm a huge golfer, so as soon as you say good golfing cigar, I mean that's going to be a regular in the humidor.
So I'm assuming you're smoking the Double Toro as well.
Actually, I already smoked it out of the sample box earlier today. So, which should tell you what I like, that I like the cigar, but now I'm smoking a Churchill here.
Perfect. So let's cut these, let's light these so we can spark it up, talking out, burn it down, and get to know you a little bit more on Escobar Cigars. Let me ask you the first question. How did you grow up? How did you get inspired to get in the cigar industry and start a cigar company?
That's a great question. It's funny. I came from a totally different background. I played ball at UCLA, moved down to LA to go to college, never went home. Started a company. Got a lot of sales and marketing jobs over the years, but ended up running sales and marketing companies, healthcare companies, until I started a defense contractor. We make military for the United States military. Did that for a lot of years, and really got into cigars in the 90s when I was going down to Cuba, when it was really hard to go down to Cuba. And I just fell in love with not so much the cigars themselves, but the experience. There's something about sitting on the balcony of the Grand Havana Hotel, Hotel Nacional in Havana, looking out over the Havana Harbor, smoking a cigar. And I remember an old Cuban guy gave me this big cigar. It had to have been like 12 inches long. Wow. And I go, God, how do you smoke this whole thing? He goes, stupid American. You'll be relaxed when you're done with this. I go, really? What'd they put in it? And they start laughing. No, you stopped for an hour, Mr. American. You stopped for an hour and you relaxed. And I remember the feeling of just sitting out there looking over the harbor. I go, this is an experience. This is a lifestyle. It's not just a piece of tobacco. This is a lifestyle, and I got it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're a little one-sided, but you don't think there's any other better lifestyle than the cigar lifestyle.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I got into it, was the whole lifestyle that it brought you. I mean, you always see successful people using celebratory cigars, sitting down, smoking cigars. Every time you walk in a lounge, right? Especially if you go in Manhattan, walk into the lounge, every guy's in a suit. Everybody's like super successful. Everybody looked like successful when you smoke a cigar. I'm like, that's what I want to look like.
It's the best form of therapy.
But it's interesting. I mean, you're right. You're talking about the traditional experienced smoker, and we all know a lot of those. But what I'm realizing, once we partnered with Nas, which is really 2 years ago, the partnership started. He's an equity owner actually with us. So I mean, he's right shoulder by shoulder with us. We learned a while ago that it just takes a while to create a brand. And once we did, it rolled.
I don't know if it was like perfectly planned out, because if you follow Nas, he refers to Escobar in a lot of his songs. So when I heard Escobar Cigars a couple years ago, I believe, like you said, 2 years ago, I might have seen it on Instagram or something like that. I'm like, man, that sounds like a Nas cigar. And then it's just a weird coincidence that, hey, I mean, maybe they had an effect on it, but it's just we had the two things align, or each thing aligns.
It just made for a good partnership. You know, one of the people we work with works a lot with Nas's team in the music world, approached us and he said, you know, listen, great idea. Have you thought about maybe approaching a brand ambassador, somebody that actually means something to? And as he pitched this to us, I realized not only is it's Nas. I mean, to be honest with you, I was just as attracted to him as a businessman. What he's done on the business side of things is unbelievable. I mean, it's really unbelievable.
He has a vast portfolio. He was one of the first or one of the initial investors in like Ring.com, I believe. And he made
Lyft, Dropbox.
I mean, he has a vast
Dropbox.
portfolio.
We have both of those. I have a Ring doorbell in my house, and we use Dropbox to send files all day long.
So he has, you know, he's a smart guy, and he has a lot of smart people around him, you know, giving him advice on what to do. So kudos to him for that.
His team he's actually got a phenomenal team around him. I work more with his team, obviously, but he's got business teams, he's got marketing teams, and their PR company, phenomenal. You know, we're really happy with working with his team. His team is a big part of who he is.
Most definitely. So what would you say makes a successful cigar company? Is this your first cigar company, or have you owned or worked for?
Yeah, no, I'll give you the story how it started. It kind of started in a happenstance manner, but your first question, what makes a good cigar company? You guys would probably agree with me. Good cigar, number one. If you don't have that, you've got really nothing anywhere. And when we started this, we didn't start it with an idea of like, hey, we're going to build a global cigar company. We're like, hey, let's have somebody make us really good cigars. It was really kind of innocent in a way. And when they came back, we're like, and I think I have a pretty discerning palate on this. I was kind of like, wow, this is a very good cigar. If I want to smoke it every day, listen, we all know, you ever smoke a really good Cuban, you realize you're down to the nub at the end and you don't want to let it go?
Most definitely.
And you're not even thinking about it. It just happens naturally, right? Smoke a bad cigar, maybe the last quarter of it's in the ashtray. You don't think about that either, right? I smoke these down to the nub every day.
That is a great point, because I mention that to everybody. I say, I can tell. So one thing that really sticks out about a cigar is if I can smoke it all the way down and it doesn't get hot, the flavors aren't harsh, I can get the full smoke of the cigar and enjoy the whole thing. Great cigar.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the cigar so far?
I think it's great. I mean, I'm drinking Four Roses bourbon with it, and being that it's a Nicaraguan cigar with a Maduro wrapper, I mean, pairs up very nicely with the spiciness of a bourbon.
I mean, my first initial things of a cigar has a feel. So, you know, this is the size that I tend to go for, either a Toro or a Busto. And I'm not sure the exact length, but I'm assuming it's like a 54 length. This is the perfect length for a cigar for me, and the gauge feels good in the hand. As we say on the podcast, it has an ample amount of smoke, so the draw is very smooth. You're able to get a lot of that smoke. And I have not picked up my drink yet because I wanted to say a cheers to you.
Oh yeah, my bad.
But it's I'm excited to try the pairing. But so far, so good. I really didn't expect anything less, because I knew yourself and Nas, they wouldn't put their name on something if it wasn't something good. So
you know what I do get, and I get a strong aroma of it on the foot smoke, and a flavor as well, is clove. I don't know if you're getting clove at all.
Clove, really?
But
Okay.
it's a nice, like that it's a baking spice, I guess, if you, well, not really a baking spice. Clove isn't really baking, but like I get a little bit of clove, a little bit like that peppery.
Yeah.
It's a nice flavor.
Definitely peppery.
Yeah. It's
you guys breathe a little bit out through your nose. You ever do that when you breathe out?
Yeah, not so much.
That opens the palate up. If you try a little bit of it going out through the nose, it opens up the whole palate to a new flavor palette.
You know, I've heard that before. I've heard that on many cigar, different cigar aficionados and cigar owners. They say, you get almost the basic flavors through your mouth, but if you really want to try unique flavors, you take it through your nose.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to mean you cut you off, but we just had an event here that just happened with Justin. And if you're familiar with the podcast, we have something called #RookieMove. And that is when you're smoking a cigar, you're enjoying your cigar, and you happen to drop ash on yourself. And we have a bet going on how many rookie moves we can each do on the podcast, and there's a wager at the end of it.
It's the 11th hour. It's
And
the 11th hour.
Justin just pulled a rookie move and just tied up the score. So thank you, Mr. David Gomes,
Oh,
for being a witness.
oh.
I've ruined more clothes than I care to tell you.
So
love it.
we'll give you the background. So we made this bet January 1st of this year, and whoever has the most rookie moves at the end of the year has to wear a dress during one of the episodes. And we made it, and it was I was winning. He had 2 rookie moves, and I had 1. And I'm sitting on like, it's December, it's middle. I said, I can't, rookie, you can't do it, can't do it, can't do it. And sure as shit, at the 11th hour, I tied up the dang score. So now, and we said if we're tied at the end of the year, we both have to wear a dress.
And I've been thinking.
Oh,
about
really?
it. Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Let me go get the chalk.
And I've been thinking about it. I was like, man, it's getting to the close. I really hope Justin pulls one off before So I know he's not as happy, but I'm ecstatic. So we digress. So change that for me, will you, big fella? And it's a beautiful thing. Because the last interview we had, last rookie move that we had another interview. And it's 2-2, baby. Almost the end of the year. Let's go.
I make intentional rookie moves all the time. I ash when I normally wouldn't, only because I kind of don't want it all over myself and the floor and everything else.
And
if I was in Havana walking the streets, I would never ash.
The whole point of it is that, people feel like silly, or people like, oh, you dropped ash on yourself, but it's kind of to take like a negative stigma and kind of turn it into like a positive and something funny. So we have people send us pictures all the time of them dropping ash on themselves. So it's a more of an encouraging thing. So, and we always say, if you don't really rookie move, do you really even smoke cigars? Because everyone drops ash on themselves. So, anyways,
happens to the best of us.
And we all had the clothes to prove it, right?
That's right.
Oh, I dropped one right. I was sitting in the lounge I dropped it right on my crotch, and I was wearing dress pants, and it burnt the hole through. I never stood up and shook off so fast in my life. God, that hurt.
Oh man,
I did that with a suit I just bought.
Oh. And you're like, mother, but you just
it happens to the best of us, as you said. So why we have our drink in our hand, Mr. David Gomes, thank you for taking the time to hang out with us, and we're very interested in getting to know you a little bit more. So cheers.
Appreciate that. I didn't pour myself a drink. It's only three something in the afternoon here.
Well, it's 5 o'clock here, so
you caught me 2 weeks from now. I'd be doing this from Cabo, and I would absolutely have a drink.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So you going to Cabo in 2 weeks? I'll be in Aruba in 2 weeks. So
yeah, see, for us in LA, Cabo is an hour 45-minute flight. It's just too damn easy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is easy. So so we're back on track now. So you mentioned you started about Escobar Cigars about 2 years ago?
About 3 years ago,
3 years
actually,
ago.
when we actually created the actual cigar. If you want to hear that story, it's kind of an interesting story.
Yeah. So the question is as you're making the brand, as you're working with the brand ambassador, how do you pitch that Escobar Cigars is unique in its way of being a cigar brand?
Yeah, what's the elevator pitch?
Well, one of the unique aspects of what we do is we launched this to be nothing but a direct-to-consumer online brand. So yes, we sell to cigar shops, but online. They, proper resale licenses. We got a lot of them in Manhattan and Jersey area, for example, that we set up as wholesalers. But for the most part, we are a direct-to-consumer brand, relying our 90% of our marketing is social media. It is online internet marketing. And I think that's a little unique for some of these older brands. We've been approached by a lot of them, like the Davidoffs of the world are very advanced. I think they're a hell of a brand, by the way. But I don't believe they've got the setup for what they do, the direct to consumer as much. They rely on some of their brick and mortar, a lot more than we have and will.
Yeah.
That aspect's unique.
We talk about that a lot. We talk about how the cigar industry's, antiquated in that sense with social media. And I think that's like when you have podcasts like us and different social media accounts, like very popular cigar accounts, those are the things that are going to be transferring, and why the companies, like you said, like Davidoff and some of the more older companies are looking to advertise in, because that's where it all is. So consuming 90% of your digital marketing, how has that been on social media? Because I'm sure cigars have a lot of obstacles on social media. You know, you get shadow banned, you get this, you get that. I mean, at least we come across it all the time with cigar accounts.
I mean, other than PayPal taking our money and deciding to hold on to it for 6 months once they discovered we were tobacco, other than that, where they can come up with a rule like that, by the way, hey, we just decided we're going to hold your money.
Yeah, tell us
just
about
because
that. What's that?
they said we don't allow tobacco transactions, and all the money you have in your account, we're going to hold on for 6 months as a penalty.
How does that work? That's ridiculous.
Well, it's funny because we talk about this a lot where premium cigars, because we actually had a gentleman on by the name of Joshua Habersky, who was head of government relations for Premium Cigar Association. And he was telling us that the overall, the sales from premium cigars, just premium cigars, that we're not talking about machine rolled cigars, we're not talking about like Swisher Sweets and all that crap, just premium cigars accounts for less than half a percent of all the tobacco sales in the country. So when you rope in cigarettes, the vape, all that, well, I don't know if vape's tobacco, but when you're smoking all that stuff, right, it's 0.5%. So when they come up with these rules to hold your money for 6 months because you sell cigars, or when they come up with these high taxes in New York City because on cigars, like,
oh, you think 90%'s high?
I'm like,
a little bit.
I go, we're 0.5%. We're not even 0.5% for all the tobacco. Like, why are you coming after
cigars?
So we feel your pain. We feel it. Well, it falls into the old cancel culture of nowadays. Somebody's feelings get hurt, so they whine and complain, and then they come to you and slap and give you a strike. It's like, really, grow up.
I'm not sure if Escobar Cigars is on TikTok, but you know, like you said,
we are.
Yeah. So, like Burn Down Podcast, we don't promote cigars. Like, we don't promote selling cigars. We just post videos of the podcast or us enjoying a cigar, and we'll get like penalized, saying, "Oh, you're getting penalized for this video for promoting and selling tobacco." I'm like, where are we selling tobacco? I'm wearing a watch, sitting down, smoking a cigar. Where am I saying, "Hey, buy now, $29.99"?
Yeah,
like millions of other people are doing every day.
Yeah,
exactly. And even at the link, I go, you can even click our website. There's not a single sell of cigars on the website. It's just a podcast. It's just a show. But anyway, we digress.
I mean, it does help when you have people like DJ Khaled smoking Escobar cigars all the time. I always see him puffing on Escobar.
New world. It's new cigars. Escobar cigars. It's new technology.
I got to give that guy a shout out, man. I got to tell you, we gave him one of the initial seating boxes when we did the launch, with the official launch with Nas earlier in the summer. And man, he loves this stuff. I mean, we don't ask him to post this stuff. He's doing it because he's just a cool dude. I mean, he's just doing it just because. I mean, he's fantastic. He loves these cigars.
I mean, he's the social media king. I mean,
yeah.
he was all over the place. And like, I almost felt like every day I would go on social media or Instagram and it would be Escobar Cigars, and it'd be a different DJ Khaled outfit talking about Escobar Cigars. I'm like, man, he's really loving these.
We're not paying him, by the way. That's not any kind
awesome.
of advertisement or anything. Just FYI.
And see, and that's actually that's a compliment to your brand and how good the cigar is you're having a big name, worldwide, huge name, just smoking your cigars just because he likes it. You're not paying them. You're not asking them to promote it. He's smoking them just because he likes it.
True, but in all fairness, I'd say it's more of his loyalty to Nas than his loyalty to Escobar.
That's true, too. I can see that.
We'll take it however you can get it, right?
Right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So I want to ask about dive into cigars, right? Because we had talked about how you could talk about cigars all day long. It's one of our favorite things to talk about, certainly one of yours. So tell us one of your best or your favorite cigar stories from, you can go back as far as you want, but something that just sticks out and you remember so vividly.
Well, I don't have any Monica Lewinsky kind of stories, but I have.
Damn.
But I think this kind of the story I was telling before is kind of my, you got these moments that you kind of realize something's really good. The moment I described before out on the balcony at the Hotel Nacional, Cuba, finding out that cigars is more than just smoking a piece of tobacco. It's just that lifestyle experience. That moment was incredible. because I've never met, a happier poverty-stricken people that in my life than in Cuba. They are content with what they have. It's about family, socializing. They all meet in the streets late at night, down below the National. You watch them; they're just milling the street, talking, socializing. Something very beautiful about that, and it fits into that whole cigar culture of just take a deep breath, sit, talk to your neighbor, talk to your friend, just relax. And that's kind of what I learned in Cuba. That's my favorite cigar story, because it was that moment that kind of changed everything for me.
I mean, if you're gonna talk about cigars, you gotta talk about Cuba.
You got to talk about Cuba. I mean, come on.
So Cuba sounds like it's a very tight knit community and a very I guess family community. I mean, is that something you would say?
Absolutely. Those people. I mean, live music at breakfast, live music at lunch, live music at dinner. It's about music. It's about dancing. It's about life. It's cigars. They're happy. They're really happy. And that's quite a lesson in this world that, it doesn't take money to be happy.
That's right. And you said it right there. I mean, for a country like Cuba right now, where it is going, has been for years and it's still going through some obstacles and some troubles, to still find happiness and still find a way to come together. I mean, it makes you think about other people who are having a bad day because they have, they got a flat tire and they're cursing at the world. Like, there's a lot more harder things out there than, a flat tire.
Perspective. Yep.
I love it. We're all about perspective. It's all about looking at the glass half full, not half empty.
Totally agree.
I always think about too. It's people get so caught up in stuff that is out of their control. There's nothing they can do about it. Like, they'll get pissed off that they have they're going somewhere that day and it's pouring rain. They go, oh, can you believe it? It's freaking raining out, and they let it ruin their whole day. And I go, what are you gonna do? Like, is there anything that you can do to make it stop raining? Then why are you getting so worked up about it? It is what it is.
That's right. That's right.
Some people are they're just stuck in their ways. They're just content with being grumpy and upset.
And then when they are, we'll take them to this exact moment of the interview and we'll say, listen what David Gomes says about Cuba. Give me something to complain about. So if you had a word of advice for someone who's, in the new era of cigars, if they're looking to start a cigar company or even start a cigar, what would be a piece of advice you would, tell them?
Know what you're doing well ahead of time. And I my business partner and I, we talk about this often, that, he's not as big a cigar guy as I am. He's more on the business side. I love cigars, and the cigar has to be perfect. It absolutely has to be perfect. So he doesn't really appreciate the cigars as much. He relies on me for that.
So when you say it has to be perfect, what do you mean by that?
Well, like you said, you opened up that cigar, it felt right before you even lit it. You open up the box, it smells right before you even pick it up. You light it and it tastes right on the first smoke. The draw is right. It's not too tight. It's not too loose. Every element of our blend is very cared for, up in, the wrapper itself. We use a San Andreas Mexican wrapper on our Maduro cigars, for example. And another item that's very short in supply lately. We're going to improve that wrapper. There's some improvements we're going to be making down the road, just small tweaks to that, not to the blend or the flavor, but to some of the less tangible aspect of the stuff.
Yeah, we're
always going to be looking to improve it.
We can attest to that too, because we're actually in the process of making our own cigar. Well, it's made already. It's just now it's the production and making the boxes and getting them all packaged up and everything. But we can attest to that. We went through multiple iterations of getting samples, tasting it, retweaking it, getting another sample, taste, and until it came down to the point where we both smoked the cigar and said, This is perfect. This is it. Yeah. We actually had a rating system, and we were rating everything, like 10 categories out of 10, and said, listen, this has to be the cigar. Like, we're not going to bring a cigar to somebody with our name stamped on it, vice versa. You're not going to bring a cigar with somebody with your name stamped, your name backing it, and then take it's like an 85. It's a B+. No, it's got to be an A+ in your mind so that you can 100% be behind the product.
I'm glad you guys told me that, because a couple things we're launching next year. I'm going to have to make sure to put you on the list to taste it for us. So we have 2 things coming out next year. One might be surprising to you, but you mentioned like Swisher Sweets, for example. So what people are doing in the cannabis market today for blunts is they're taking a, backwoods or a Swisher Sweet, well, more backwoods, and just ripping out the inside and rolling their blunts in that. We're going to be launching a blunt wrap next year.
Nice.
A blunt wrap.
Nas is very excited about that. It's actually nothing but tobacco. So believe it or not, it's hard to make and it's hard to get, because it's more than just taking a tobacco leaf and wrapping the pod in it. It's got to be like, you buy something on the market today, you're buying like a homogenized tobacco leaf, ground up, pounded out into paper basically. And that's what people are doing. And I didn't realize this until I did the research, but the combination of cannabis with tobacco raises THC impact levels. So that's why a lot of people smoke blunts, because the combination of cannabis and the tobacco are very popular. So that's one thing we're launching next year.
So,
Go ahead.
No, you said it raises. So combining a tobacco leaf, rolling it with pot, making a blunt, obviously, it enhances the THC in the weed.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that makes sense. Why?
As opposed to just like a joint with rolling paper.
Or you get a water bottle with some tinfoil and smoke it out of that. I never knew that. It's interesting.
So what's the price difference between these? Because he ordered the cigars or got the cigars. I have no idea what the price is. But what's the difference between like what we smoking now versus the ultra black line that's coming up?
Well, I mean, you could probably, we don't know pricing yet. It really comes on where the final costs come in, because we're not looking to just, have it at the same price and market it differently and sell it for twice as much. We want a truly upgraded blend.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like the 1926 is a better cigar than the regular Padron line, for example. And I like the regular Padron line, don't get me wrong, but their 1926 or 1964s are phenomenal. They're great cigars. And so offering an upgraded version, a premium version, premium of your premium, so to speak, it's not bad. Plus, ultra black is actually a color that Nas actually trademarked.
Ultra black. What's that other black that Vanta black? Is that the other one?
I'm not sure.
Vanta black, I think, is like the blackest black of the black.
Really?
Yeah.
Ultra black. So what was your first impression of Nas meeting him?
He has the silkiest voice I've ever heard. You listen to him talk, it's like, we did a photo shoot one day, and afterwards he goes, "Let's go build this, brother." let's go build this. And the way he said it, I'm not doing it justice. It's like silk coming out of his mouth. It's crazy.
Wow. Silky smooth.
Silky smooth.
Is he a quiet, humble guy? I mean, that's how I take his persona. Kind of comes off very quiet and humble.
Absolutely. No question about that. I expected a loud, exuberant celebrity, and he's a dad. He's like, I hesitate to call him like soccer dad, but he's like a dad. He's like a regular guy.
Yeah.
Just solid all the way through. Good man.
That's awesome. So having Nas as an equity partner, what are some of your expectations and goals with bringing him on as a partner now?
Oh, I think we have begun to do some of the things we can do with them. Like, there'll be, we have arrangements where he's going to do like photography days or a certain time of the year where he'll do part of an event. We've been asked to roll cigars at the Super Bowl this year, for example.
Wow.
His impact, I'm sure, had a partly to do with that, of course. So he adds a credibility to a new brand that would be harder to get as a new brand, I think.
Absolutely.
In all sincerity, I think that's a very big factor for sure. It speeds up the process significantly, having somebody like that on board. And it's not just him. With him comes his friends. I mean, you saw the Khaled post, but I don't know if you saw the Snoop post.
Yes, I did actually.
By the way, there's another silky voice.
So I mean, you're right. So, I look at it as you bringing Nas on, obviously he has a tremendous fan base around the world, and people that might not be into cigars might be turned on by it now just because Nas. Great
point.
Because as soon as I saw in the headlines Nas is a part owner, I said, I don't even care about any of those cigars right now. I need to try Escobar cigars. I need to get my hands on them. So
it's interesting you said that, and that's very, very true. What we're getting out in the market, we're getting a lot of novice smokers through the partnership with Nas, which is great. We're getting people that are, hey, I'm looking to smoke a cigar. What do I do? And we love that. We love helping people like that. I mean, we answer questions on our support chat all the time. Like, hey, I'm buying a box. You know, I saw Nas likes these cigars. I'm going to buy a box for my husband for Christmas. How do I store them? Or will they keep until Christmas? You know, what's the best one for somebody who's never smoked a cigar? I mean, I get these questions all the time, and I love it. New smokers in the market. This is wonderful. And by the way, that makes sense for the numbers we're seeing in the market. We have never imported more Nicaraguan cigars into this country historically ever.
wow.
You know, even through the pandemic, numbers shot through the roof.
No, I mean it's a huge, tremendous advantage, like you said, for a new company to have a person like that with a brand already attached to it. Because as soon as I heard about the news, I was like, man, they're gonna get a lot of new or never before cigar smokers, because it's just the brand. You know, it goes back to branding and what is perceived. So if people who enjoy Nas for the last 20, 30 years and they never tried a cigar, but now, I mean, you see him in the music videos and pictures that he smokes cigars, but now that he's actual part owner of a company and he promotes it, they say, you know what, maybe if Nas likes it, maybe I'll like it. Maybe give it a shot.
Yeah,
at least give it a try.
It's like when it's just seeing your idols, right? Like it's the same thing where you see whatever team that you like wins the Super Bowl and they pass out the cigars in the locker room, like, oh shit, Tom Brady's smoking it. What cigar is he smoking? Let me go. And then you want to smoke that cigar. So like you said, people that are fans of Nas, people that are fans of DJ Khaled, fans of Snoop Dogg, you see him smoking that cigar, like, I want to try that cigar.
People who have no idea about cigars, they'll be like, hey, I saw Nas smoke this cigar with a gold label. What is it and where can I get it?
Well, you know what a travesty would be? What if this was a terrible cigar and we're driving them to the new cigar smoker to a cigar, then they get it. They're like, you know, you just turned off a new cigar smoker. So I kind of like the fact that we're offering good product as well as the way they're coming into it.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Because if it's a terrible cigar, then a new cigar smoker coming in and having a terrible experience may never pick up another cigar. But you having a great cigar, bringing all these new cigar smokers in, they have a great experience. Now they could become cigar smokers, and you're helping out the entire cigar industry. Because as a cigar smoker, I mean, let's be honest, they're not just going to only smoke one cigar. Now they're going to be into cigars, and now they're going to start trying other cigars. Now you've created a cigar smoker.
I have no shame on that. I'm good.
And what I also love about it is that you guys are taking an avenue towards social media marketing. Like you said, 90% of your marketing comes from social media, and I think a lot of the big brands, they do it. But if you guys are leading a way of new advertising and new social media marketing, I think it's only going to follow. So again, you got a good product ambassador, and now you guys are creating ways in social media, which is still kind of new, especially for the cigar industry. People will follow. Yeah,
it's very new for the cigar industry because, like you said, all of the the way that it happened back in the day was it was just magazines advertisements. Right now, you guys are taking this new age technology. Because let's be honest, like not a lot of the cigar companies, I mean, they're trying to get into it, but they're older generation, right? The new generation is the age of technology, and you need to be on that platform. I mean, how many of these social media gurus always talk about it? You got to be on social media. I don't care what business you are, you got to have a presence on social media.
Was Nas involved in creating these blends of these cigars?
It was after the blend. He definitely had a part in the new packaging. So prior to Nas coming on board, we had very traditional Cuban box packaging. You know, still used the same cedar, but it was much different. What he wanted, as he said, he goes, "I want something cooler than Jay-Z's champagne."
Love it.
Well, you guys have certainly succeeded because that black and gold is elegant. It's simple. It's classy,
and the logo is raised, so it's not just flat on the box.
I just love it. Like we're big into, you have to attract the eyeballs, because when you walk into a cigar lounge, you walk into a shop, you walk in anywhere, if you're on social media, whatever it is, you need to draw the eyeballs. You can't blend in with the rest of it. You got to have something that stands out. So that, to me, looks like luxury right off the bat. Like you look at it, big E in gold. It's like, what is that? Now I'm drawn to it immediately.
And when I first when I first got into cigars, I only chose cigars based on the look of it. I had no idea what, a Padron 7000. If I saw that label,
I think a lot of people do that.
Right? I think that's how majority of people are. I mean, if I saw a Padron, what is it, 7000, a little brown, I would probably be like, oh, that's probably a crappy cigar. But then if I saw this big, flowers, two warriors on the label, I'm like, oh, that looks like a good cigar. I'm going to try that one. Mm-hmm. And, you fit right into the mold.
Well, what we were shooting for when we went into the redesign, we wanted traditional Cuban on the inside, edgy on the outside. And I think that's what we accomplished with this packaging.
Oh, you hit it out the park. It's exactly what it is. I mean, that little the onion paper, that is traditional Cuban all day long.
So
and the naming nomenclature is Cuban too. The Robusto, Double Corona. Mm-hmm. We try to keep to the traditional Cuban naming nomenclature.
And I appreciate that you do that, because there's so many cigars that they'll, like, for instance, there's one, and it's a good cigar, so I'm not knocking the cigar itself, but there's a company, Principal Cigars. They have a name. It's the Aviator is the name of the cigar, but the size is called a Cochon Volant. Is the name of the size, okay? And it's essentially it's much like this, where it's like a double torpedo, but it's really fat on the center. So it's like a double torpedo Gordo, if you will. But they call it a Cochon Volant, and I'm like, who is gonna know what that means? Like, no, call it a Figurado Gordo. Call it a Robusto. Stop naming it with these crazy names that nobody knows.
Well, I mean, you can say the same thing about a cigar brand I respect, like Padron, too, though. Padron uses the 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. So they've created their own naming nomenclature, and that's fine. But I think from what I've seen as a customer, a cigar buyer myself,
right,
I want standardization. I want to know what you're coming at.
Yeah, and like I said, there's nothing against that brand. Like, there's nothing, like, Padron is a fantastic brand, but they always have like the number 1, the number 2, the number 5, the 7,000. Because like,
as a new cigar smoker, again, I besides just picking the label, I was trying to understand what cigar shapes were. Like, oh, okay, this is a Robusto, this is a Toro, this is a what? What do they call this? Why is that one called? But it looks the same as a Robusto. What is? And it would just confuse the crap out of me. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
Other than the Churchill that everybody seems to know.
Right? That's it.
But that lends itself to an interesting story of what Winston Churchill actually used to do to intimidate world leaders.
Please tell us.
He used to take a traditional, Churchill cigar, the long, lengthy Churchill cigar, and he would put a paper clip down the center of it. And he would smoke it, and he'd be leaving like with a 6-inch ash on it, be walking around, waving it around, and people are like, they were so distracted by that, he was pushing his agenda. And he used a paper clip to keep that ash.
Wow, I never thought about putting a paper clip in it. Did you know that?
Yeah, you can. It's basically so that the ash has something to hold on to, so it never falls off.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
Once you get all the way through the paper clip, then the whole thing would topple. But it's like half the paper clips in the unsmoked part of the cigar, and the other half's in the ash. Yeah,
interesting.
Yep.
So more on the personal side, what are, besides obviously cigars and running businesses, what are some of your hobbies that you like to get into?
That's easy. I'm being California born and bred, which is not something I'm always proud of these days, but I'll say it right now. I grew up on the water here, so surfing, scuba diving, free diving, abalone diving, beach volleyball. I still get out there and run the basketball court in the morning. So those are the kind of things I still do.
Love it,
my man. So you said you played ball at USC?
UCLA.
UCLA?
USC. Oh,
what sport? Was it basketball?
It's actually interesting you said that. I actually went there to play soccer. That team was national champions, and I thought I could beat two Olympic goalkeepers out, and apparently I couldn't. So I went right back to football and went back to playing tight end.
Really? And what years was that? 1999?
84, 85, 83, 84.
I was trying to bump you up a little bit.
Sorry. No, Troy Aikman came right as I left. To give you perspective.
Okay, that makes sense.
So your main sport was soccer then, right? That's what you played all growing up? Big soccer fan?
Yep, soccer was my passion. Football was just something I was good at. So I played.
Yeah, that's kind of like, hey, you look like you got to play football. Like you're probably that kid that was like bigger than most, and they're like, you're playing football. I don't care what you say, you're playing football.
I was playing varsity football in high school at 13 because I was so big.
How tall are you?
I'm about 6'6".
Oh,
6'6",
big boy.
big boy.
6'6", probably 225 now. But I played probably 275.
You played it too, so he's basically freaking Gronkowski over here.
Yeah. Did you like catching the ball more, or did you like pounding heads?
I throughout my entire career never dropped one ball.
Really?
Wow.
I had hands were what I did. That's what worked. Slow of foot, straight line speed was sloth like. Short burst speed was very fast. Long speed was very poor.
Yeah, but you know what? At 6'6", 270, it doesn't matter how fast. Yeah. Like nobody, it's not one person taking you down. It's usually two or three. So
that was true.
So it's kind of ironic, you said you had your hands where it's at, and now you ultimately have a cigar company where so you need all your hands. So.
Well, what's funny is I bet that you being a soccer goalkeeper is the reason why when you transition football you had such good hands.
No question. There were times, I don't know how well you know soccer, but they would always teach the goalkeeper go out and punch the ball out. That never made sense to me.
Catch it.
It's like my thing was if you can get one hand on it, you can catch the ball.
Mm-hmm. Especially going from soccer to football, the ball is half the size.
Yeah. So
if you can get one hand, and you probably have pretty big hands too, especially being the size you are and being a soccer goalie, like you got big hands. So going to football, if you got, especially with the gloves you have nowadays, if you can get a hand on it, there is no way you should drop the dang ball.
Yeah.
I see that every day in the NFL. Like, how I don't get it.
We said too, yeah, you're right. You see it all the time where the ball, and there's a saying, right? If it hits your numbers or if it hits your hands, you have to catch it. Especially as a professional football player, you have to catch it. You have the gloves that are basically super glue, and your hands are twice the size of most people. That if the quarterback puts the ball in you have to. There's no excuse. You have to catch that ball. But it goes through and hits him like in the forehead. I go, what are you doing?
You know why? Because a lot of colleges, high schools, everything, even at UCLA, they were teaching me, and I was always a reach out, catch the ball at the shortest point. Go out and get the ball every time.
At the highest point.
And they taught the absolute opposite, which drove me crazy. It was Terry Donahue in those days, who's may he rest in peace. But he always I will move you to tackle if you don't catch it the way I tell you to catch it. He wanted you to catch it into your body, like at the same time as the body, and that makes no sense to me. That's why things drop off people. They bounce off shoulder pads.
Yeah, the timing's all off.
Yeah, I played wide receiver in high school, but I was always taught to put your hands out and catch the ball at the highest point. Always jump up for the ball. Put your arms out as far as you could.
That was the same thing in basketball too. Like I can't imagine somebody giving you a chest pass and you just like waiting for the ball. Like no, you go get the ball.
Yeah.
You reach out and catch it, or if like you're going up for a rebound, you go up and you reach out and catch it at the highest point you can, not waiting for it to come down so that you can catch it by your body. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I tell you, the guy that replaced I was at Santa Clara University my first year, scholarship football player there, and I transferred to UCLA. I gave up my scholarship to go play soccer, but the tight end. Well, there's a little 180-pound wide receiver that replaced me at tight end at Santa Clara, and he put on like 40 pounds, became a tight end, ended up Brett Jones, NFL All-Pro for the 49ers. You remember him. He's the guy to replace me. I will say, best hands I've ever seen on a player in my entire life, Brent Jones.
Really?
By far.
Everybody.
Never seen better hands.
Why so?
No idea. The sweetest hands I've ever seen. Just everything was a soft. I don't know how to explain it. He never dropped anything. In the pros either. The guy was flawless in the pros. And the guy physically should have never been a pro football player. He was just so good.
It's amazing, how you said he goes in at 180 and puts on 40 pounds. Like,
unbelievable.
That's like that in and of itself is impressive because, especially just putting on 10 pounds of muscle, but then putting on 40, and obviously it probably wasn't all muscle because that's like dang near impossible without roids. But to put on 40 pounds is tough. It's real
Well,
tough.
weight was one of the reasons I left Santa Clara, because they came back right before spring. Like, listen, we decided we're going to move you to tackle, which would make football not fun for me at all. Like, we want you to come back from the 6-week break. We want you to put on 40 pounds.
And you were 270 at the time?
No, I wasn't quite that heavy then. I was probably 230, 40.
Still.
But still, like at that time, being that size, try to put on another 40 pounds is.
So I came back from that break at 210.
Yeah, you went the other way. You're like, yeah, fuck you. I'm going to play soccer.
So yeah, that did go over well.
So I can't imagine, like, to be, that size, 235, 240. You're eating a lot. Okay, you're eating more than than the average person. Okay, by a lot.
Yeah.
Now to go and put on more. Now you got to eat like another 1,500 calories every single day. You know what that's like to eat that much food?
Dedication in itself.
I never felt good with that. That's the one thing I didn't like about football, is having to play at a higher weight. I believe that athletes, every body's designed for a certain weight. My weight is designed for 220 to 230. Like my ankles, my knees, everything's designed for that body weight. At UCLA did that. They took a skinny guy, and put on 60 pounds, make him a tackle. I never agreed with that. I think you're taking the athlete out of him at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember when I played college basketball, and I remember going in. I'm 6'4", and I remember going in as a freshman. I was like 180 pounds, soaking wet, and they're like, you can't. You're 18. You're playing against 20. Like you cannot. You have to. So you had just to get to 200 was tough. Like you're in the weight room all day long. You're eating nonstop, and especially when you're playing a sport, you're running 3 hours a day. So your metabolism is at an all-time high. You're young, so it's already at a high state. So then just to get to like the 200 was just brutal. Yeah. And then going
and to put on the right weight though.
Exactly.
The right weight.
Put on the right weight. Just brutal.
It is. It's brutal. Speaking of brutal, going back to Escobar Cigars. Not really brutal, but
I was gonna say, where are you going with this?
Well, it has to do with wait for me. Hold on here. So, creating a brand, creating Escobar Cigars. What was your biggest mistake that you learned from that ultimately turned into something better? That's why I was going with the brutal.
With the brutal.
That's actually a really good question, and I grew up in the startup world. I grew up in Silicon Valley, so I grew up in the startup world. Startups are hard. I don't care what kind of startups they are. I think the mistakes that we made in the beginning were out of naivete, thinking, we've got this great cigar. We'll just go run around cigar shop to cigar shop around the country and promote the brick and mortar marketing, because I'm an older guy. That's what I know, is brick and mortar marketing. We've got a team of really good younger guys that do the social media side phenomenally. And thank God for that. But I also believe in it, even though I'm kind of old school, I believe in the new way of marketing. But I also believe that new age marketing, call it, needs to still be combined with solid brick and mortar sales marketing principle. In other words, so we launched Nas. I'm getting calls all over the world for people wanting to set up distributorships in, Ivory Coast, Africa, Switzerland, Russia, UK. That's coming from social media. It's coming from that burst of social media presence. So that's a really good example of where, new age marketing completely coincides with old school marketing, which is roll up your sleeves, go meet the people, create business relationships, and create partnerships. Mm-hmm. Creating the partnership with Nas. I mean, I call that brick and mortar marketing too, because still had to sit down with his team, try the cigars. Yes, we like it. It was more like, hell yeah, we like it. But we got that response back, and it's like, let's go. That's all brick and mortar stuff. I don't think you could do one without the other. I think that's some of the mistakes that younger people make now. They're like, hey, we should be able to do everything from our computer. Well,
yeah, no, I hear you. I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, people still want to see your face. People still want to shake hands. People still want to know who you are, know about your family, X, Y, and Z. So doing it on the computer is good and all, but like you said, you also have to incorporate those old traditional values, that brick and mortar mentality of, hey, I got to go in here and talk to this guy and ask him about, what he likes and what he's looking for, and shake his hand and smile at him and ask about his family. You can't just do it behind a screen all day.
Yeah, because even no matter what technology comes out, no matter what, how far social media goes, no matter it's the newest and most technologically advanced marketing scheme. It ultimately, everything comes back to the old school, people skills. We're in a people business. Like, what are we doing right now? We're all smoking cigars, having a conversation. Cigars are a people business. It brings people together. Everybody can get together, have a cigar, and you have conversation. So it ultimately comes back to people skills, like Eric said. Getting in front of somebody, sitting down, creating relationships. Like, if you never created a relationship with Nas to sit down and have a conversation with him, he never would become a partner. You can't just say on email, hey, would you like to be a partner? And he's just going to be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. It doesn't work that way. It might get you the initial meeting, but ultimately you have to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Agreed. And that's kind of how we do it. So we back to the original mistakes. We thought that we can go to cigar shops and, hey, yeah, we'll start carrying your line, And we did a little bit of that, but it was like slow going, right? Next thing you know, we launched Nas. Those people are calling us. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. So it's a combination of both. It's kind of starting with the internet sensation, with the social media, and then ultimately it leads into building relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So having the social media is where it's great because you can reach out to so many new people that you wouldn't normally be able to get in touch with, like in Russia. Like back in 50 years ago, you would not be able to market to Russia very easily. But now with social media, Nas can put up one post and reach everybody on the planet. And then you could take it to the next level to have a meeting and build a relationship.
Yeah, that's great.
Or more relevant, the people that are responsible for distributing the most cigars in those countries are calling you.
Right.
And that's kind of how it's happening. They're seeing those posts. They're seeing that presence. They're calling you saying, what is it going to take for us? We'd like to distribute through UK or distribute through Russia. And then you realize once you start working with these people, if you were trying to do that on your own, you would go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the people. You don't know you don't know the inroads.
It's such a powerful tool. It really boggles my mind. Like the reach that it has and the power that it comes with. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But for business purposes, it's just it opens so many different avenues of getting your face and getting your brand out there. And it's just wild. When we see people who download our podcast, I think we have what do we say? Each country or each...
we have at least one, and now it's a more than just one, but in every single continent except for Antarctica.
Yeah, and it's just bizarre. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, I wouldn't worry about Antarctica too much.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if anybody even listens to podcasts.
Do they even have internet down there?
So I got to tell you, it's like I love cigars, but I've been at DC for work trips, and it's like nowhere to smoke. I'll go out to the street in the lobby and just go sit out on the street and smoke a cigar. You're sitting there freezing, like,
Yep.
I'm not having fun.
There's certain times in New York where it's ice cold, and I go, listen, I love cigars. I don't love cigars that much. Where I'm like, yeah, this cigar's good, man. I'm enjoying it.
That's like when we first made this, because our studio is in my pool house right now. We converted it into a studio. It used to just be kind of storage. But when we first converted it and we got a couple heaters in here, I can't tell you how much I appreciated it that winter, because you can't really smoke outside. Like, even if you had a fire going, you're still bundled up and smoking. But having a spot where I could put the TV on, I could put some tunes on, put the heaters on, like a half hour before I want to go out there, just having it is just so nice to be able to smoke.
So you're trying to make your own Cuba, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
A little sanctuary.
Because there's not a place in Cuba, day or night, that's not an appropriate time or place to smoke a cigar.
See, that's what I love. I gotta go to Cuba.
Yeah, gotta.
I gotta go to Cuba, man.
Warm 24/7. Anytime.
Hotel Nacional, or Hotel Saratoga, the two places I'd stay in Havana.
Okay.
Well,
Nacional and Saratoga.
Well, if we ever get the opportunity to go to Cuba, we will reach out to you.
Well, we have to. Eventually, we will go. I mean, we can't have a cigar podcast and not at least go to Cuba once. Can't have our own cigar and not at least go to Cuba one time.
That's right.
So let me ask you, are you guys, so first, two-part question. First part is, I'm sure you have, but have you smoked Lanceros or Lonsdales? Did you like them? And then the second part is, are you thinking about maybe making one for Escobar? Because I know that was the traditional Cuban roll, and it's a very hard roll to do.
We haven't considered it yet. It's something we've talked about. We're not getting a whole lot of calls for it right now. When we launched the brand, we launched it with 5 Maduros, and 5 natural or Habana wrappers. So we 5 of each. So we the Robusto, double Corona, double Toro Gordo, Distinguido, and it's a lot.
Churchill.
Anyway, yeah, Churchill. So those 5 in Maduro, those 5 in natural we offer, and we offer both of those in the sampler pack. And we have the 2 new gift boxes that come with a Maduro or a natural sampler. So we really have 6, 12, 13, 14 products in addition to t-shirts, accessories, and stuff like that. 14 cigar products.
So was there a talk about it? Was there like a thought?
There has been. I think there has been. I think we're getting a lot more clamoring for, number one, Nas is very adamant that he wants to launch the blunt wraps next. So we're going into January. We're going right into R&D on that. That's going to be probably our first priority. You got to remember, from a business perspective, that opens up every little vape shop, every little convenience store, and we're doing a big deal in Mexico right now with one of the biggest distribution companies out there that own their versions of all the 7-Elevens in Mexico. So that becomes a really good market for a $5 blunt wrap product.
Wow. I love it. Look, you're smoking that.
And Ceros will eventually come, but we don't want to dilute, we have so many different rolls right now. And if you notice, you guys will, smoke the rest of that sampler bag. Every roll is different. So you take a natural Robusto and a natural Churchill, they have different tastes. I'm still amazed by that. If you ask me why, I really couldn't tell you why, to be honest with you. But they all have, to me at least, they have different taste profiles with each roll, even though they're the same blend. So adding a Lancero, I'd be curious to see what that would taste like. I'll probably have them start experimenting with that next year too, but it probably won't see it next year.
Yeah, because that's like one of the reasons I like Lanceros a lot. I have a whole shelf in my humidor dedicated to Lanceros because of the fact, one, it's a very hard roll to do in order to ensure that you have a good draw, because you can overpack it very easily. But the fact that you can have the same cigar, because it's essentially like a Toro or a Churchill, but it's a much smaller ring gauge. So you can have the same 2 cigars, one in a Toro, one in a Lancero, same length, 6 inches. One's a 56, one's a 40, and they'll taste completely different. Same blend, same wrapper, same everything, and they taste totally different. So that's why I love getting those.
You'll notice that with the same box. That box you have there, you'll notice the same thing.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, and
Great point.
It says it on that little the onion paper that I looked at. All of the blend, it's all the same. Everything is the same wrapper, same binder, same fillers, just different sizes. And you have different ratios of wrapper to filler, everything. You have different flavors.
Yep.
Exactly. So this is what we talked about in the beginning, right? Eric pointed this out. You can smoke it all the way down. And I got it all the way down where I have to put the poker in to keep smoking it, but I'm still smoking it. It's fantastic.
Me too.
It's perfect.
I'm right at the nub myself, and I'm not letting this go yet.
Yeah, I've had a perfect burn, circular burn this whole way. And
well, we pay attention to the QA process, guys. One of the things we do, we've got the Drawmaster 5000 in our factory.
Heard about that.
And I think those are really important because I think here's my issue with some of the Cuban cigars, certainly recently. I think some of the quality is started to suffer in the last few years. Crop yields have been difficult. I think they've had a difficult few years down there. But there's an inconsistency that bothers me a little bit lately, in that they don't have equipment like Drawmasters, for example. It's not something they would ever use down there at the Partagas factory. And I think every once in a while I'll get within a box of Cubans, I'll get one that's just so tight you can't even draw from it. And that, as a consumer, that would bother me as a consumer to buy a box like that and have to throw out certain percentage of them are just not smokable. That would bother me. Torpedo rolls are more prone to that. You'll see like the Romeo and Julieta torpedoes. Some of those have draw issues that I've seen. The Cuban ones, I mean.
Yeah.
Because they're really a tough roll. The torpedoes are a tougher roll. Like what you're smoking, the Distinguido, we call it the DR, it's a very hard roll.
Well, you guys did a great job because I haven't had smoke.
It's a lot more labor for that cigar than any of our other cigars.
I haven't had any issues with it so far. It's fantastic. I remember one that we had was the Cohiba Esplendidos. It's a longer stick, and it's like 7 inches. And that one, I had such a tough draw on it, and I was really trying to make it work. I was trying to just keep just give it a little bit of time. Let's see it open up. And I got through like the first stir, and it just wasn't opening it up. And I felt so bad. Just like, I got to throw it. I got to toss it. I'm not enjoying
it.
So
no matter how you cut it, it wouldn't draw.
I just couldn't. And I really tried. Yeah. I tried everything. I have this cigar poker that I've seen right now, a draw tool that I can stick. And I tried everything. Just wasn't working. I said, you know what? I'm not going to force it. It's not working. Toss the cigar, get something else that I know I'm going to have a good smoke with.
And I've heard a lot of people, like if I post a picture of a cigar, like a Cuban cigar, or if I just talk to people about Cuban cigars, they're like, oh man, forget Cubans. Forget them. You can't, they're made so terrible. You can't even smoke them. They're this, they're that. And I'm like, really? This is when I first started. And then it's still kind of been the same conversation. Not everybody, obviously, but I still find people that are like, forget Cubans, man. You can't even take a draw from them. And I'm like,
but when they're good, they're good.
Oh, yes. That's there's
upside.
The upside. You can have either or. When they're bad, they're bad. But when they're good, they're fucking great. So,
although I've never had a bad Bajica yet.
I haven't had too many of those, but every time I have, it's been a pleasure. So I attest to that. Oh man. I'm good.
What a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of getting to the end of our episode here. Typically what we like to do, we kind of give you the red carpet, kind of just give everybody who's listening and watching, the social media, what's coming up next, website, stuff they can look out for so people can find you. So,
well, I think immediately we're having a flash sale starting Monday morning for a couple days, which would be the last couple days before, I think what USPS is basically saying is if you're going to ship in time for Christmas, get it out by the 15th. So the 13th and 14th, we're doing a 48-hour sale. We're going 20% off everything on the store. So that's probably the next thing we're doing. That's at www.escobarcigars.com. All of our social media platforms are accessible from the website. You need to message us, chat with us. All that's available. We pride ourselves on customer service. So we welcome what you may think are silly questions from a novice smoker. We love those questions. So you want to call us, get advice. What do I get for my husband for Christmas? We love those questions. So bring them.
That's easy enough. One-stop location, one-stop shop, EscobarCigars.com, baby.
So what we'll do is we'll put up, if you have like a flyer or something about that sale, send it our way, and we'd love to we'll throw it up on our Instagram and all the platforms. We have 3 pages between us, and we'll get it up there to see if everybody can get the last-minute sales on before the 15th. So please send that over.
We'll do that for sure. That'll probably come out on Saturday, Sunday, so we'll probably get that to you over the weekend.
And obviously Escobar Cigars, the link will be in the bio on YouTube. So when we do post this video, the link will be right in there so people can go right there. But it's been a pleasure. We really appreciate your time. It's almost, an hour and a half, hour, 15 minutes. So we had a really great conversation. So we thank you for your time and your insight. Are there any other questions for us?
I appreciate the questions. I mean, anytime you want to ask us how we're making a cigar or how we came up with the relationship with Nas, I love talking about this stuff. So I really enjoyed the conversation, the line of questioning. I thank you for that.
The next question is, when do we get Nas on the burn?
I get that question a lot.
I'm sure you do.
As you can imagine, a Grammy award-winning artist is pretty busy these days and tour, cutting new albums. So, I mean, he's got his main job, of course. So we don't ask a lot of time of his because he's pretty busy, but you never know what's going to happen. Hopefully we can get him on a podcast, but he guards his time pretty judiciously.
So as Jim Carrey would say,
so you're telling me there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. But anyways.
1 in a million, but you say there's a chance.
Yeah, man.
Nah, you never know. He may see this and say, "Hey, I'd like to get on it." So we'll pass this link to him when we get this link. We'll pass the link to him directly and say, "Hey, just so you want to see this." So we'll send this to him directly for sure.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you and your time and the dedication you put to making Escobar cigars.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the questioning today.
Obviously. Thank you, David. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Salud.
Thanks, guys.